Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome you to DTB's Financial Wellness Training. This will be our first session for the month of May. Karibuni sana. If you've been part of trainings with us before, you'd know that we are very interested to know where you're joining us from. So feel free to let us know as you join and what you're looking forward to in today's session. This is actually DTB's first training on personal financial wellness. In the past, we've focused on SME training, and so we just wanted to also empower individuals to take their finances to the next level. So karibuni sana. And as you join, let's engage where you're coming from, what you'd like to learn from this month, your objectives and your goals. Thank you so much for joining. You can see Catherine from Mombasa, Nyambira from Nairobi. Karibuni sana, karibuni. And let us know if you've been to DTB's trainings before or this is your first time. Yeah, we would love to know. So karibuni sana. Let me also give in the chat details about our sign language interpretation. Yes, so karibuni sana. Thank you for joining. Gina tells us she's been trained before by DTB. That's great. I'm seeing Qatar in the house. Nairobi is well represented. Karibuni sana. Thank you. Susan, this is your first time. Welcome to DTB, and we hope that you gain value. Yeah, and let us know also what you're looking forward to when it comes to handling your personal finances. What have your struggles been? And of course, we will engage more on this as the trainings go on. So we can see Kilifi in the house, Bungoma, John from Nyahururu. Karibuni sana, ladies and gentlemen. We are delighted to have you. And as we continue, we have a brief survey that we would like you to just take. So I have posted it in the chat. You can just take a few minutes to fill in the survey to let us know where you are at when it comes to your personal finances, and so that we can understand a bit more and we can understand how best we can support your personal financial growth. So I'll repost it and I'll also share it during the break so that you can take time and feel it so that we understand more. So karibuni sana, ladies and gentlemen. Once more to the financial wellness training from DTB with Zurich Consulting. Yes, thank you for engagement. Thank you for joining in from different places and for keeping time and showing your commitment to taking your personal finances to the next level. Great. So allow me now to introduce our trainer for the day. We have Elizabeth Nkuku from Zurich Consulting. And Elizabeth is a seasoned investment and financial inclusion expert with over 17 years of experience in the financial services industry. She brings deep expertise in capital raising, investment strategy, financial literacy, and inclusive finance. She's a CFA, charter holder, CPAK, and a PhD candidate in finance. Through her firm, Zurich Consulting, she empowers individuals and institutions to make smarter financial decisions and design impactful financial solutions. So as always, ladies and gentlemen, you can see you're in good hands. We hope that you are seated somewhere comfortable and ready to learn because you're about to deep dive into personal financial concepts, financial management concepts. And we also have Lillian and Faith, who will be our sign language interpreters for the day. And so, oh, my volume is a bit low. Sorry for that. I hope it's better now, Julius. So yes, we have Lillian and Faith, who will be our sign language interpreters for the day. And we will engage on chat. At some point, will allow us to also just mute the chat so that we can focus on the session at hand. So without further ado, allow me to welcome Elizabeth. Elizabeth, karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Mantui, and thank you so much also for joining this conversation, which is about financial wellness. I think there has been a lot of conversation about mental wellness, about many other wellnesses, but financial wellness is also a key thing because at the end of the day, it really plays a significant role into the total well-being of us. So thank you so much, DTB Bank, for allowing us to come converse, discuss, and say what are the key pillars that we need to take our finances to the next level. We have a presentation as a backdrop that will help us guide the conversation. But as we go, we shall really be looking at the questions that you have and see where we come in. Today is laying the foundation of financial wellness. So it will all be about, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? How far are you in this journey? And so that we can know how we even tweak the coming sessions so that we know how to guide you to the next level. So our theme today is understanding your financial position, and that is really the first step to thriving. You cannot plan for that which you do not know. So that is why we took this as a first session to begin with. So I'll just dive into it. And remember, this is not a lecture. So this is going to be a very engaging conversation. And I would like us to start with a question. And I think Mantu will just allow us to respond on the group or just put a poll. If money was a person, how would you describe your relationship with it? We all know that we have different relationships with different things, with different people. So if money was a person, how would you describe that relationship? I would like us to just take a minute and just chat. If money was a person, elusive. Thank you so much, Leon. So there is D. We are working in building a better relationship. Most of us are actually working on building a better relationship. It's complicated. Yes, it can get complicated. So B and D have the day. Money ignores me no matter how hard I try to get it. No, it cannot ignore you. We just need to make sure that we are bringing it to you. You're actually making it work for yourself. So money and I are best of friends. Yes, that's what we would like to. Thank you so much for the responses. So if you look at where we are, that will be really where we start and say, me and money, we need to get a good relationship. We could be, we should be best of friends. We should know when to keep each other and know when to make our lives much better. So thank you so much for those responses, and we shall continue getting them. In terms of complication, we shall just learn how do we make our relationship much better. It cannot be toxic because we need each other. So we must work on it to make sure that it's not elusive, it's not toxic. We are working towards making it a better relationship, and it is possible. So before we even still dwell and delve into the conversation of the day, I would like us to just look at some of real life stories. We have Lynette here. And Lynette could be you, could be your friend, could be anyone. So let's just look at this story. So Lynette is a 34-year-old. She is in marketing. She earns 120,000. She's a single mother and lives in Nairobi. So constantly she feels overwhelmed by money. She earns a good salary, definitely 120,000, and just looking at the statistics that have been released is not something little. So she earns a good salary, but at the end of every month, she finds herself borrowing from friends, using mobile loans just to get by. She does not have a clear idea of where her money goes. She thinks that just take this down. She thinks that she saves a little, but can't say how much she saves. So I want to complete that conversation so that we can actually look at. Let's break down her situation. So her net income comes in at 98. Yes, we know what is happening. Things have changed, and let's just say this was Lynette even before changes in the previous the new changes came. So she has no side hustle. This is all what she earns. So how does she spend her money? She spends her money by paying rent. She lives in a higher end market in Kilimani, 35,000. I don't think if there is even a house for that 5,000 in Kilimani. Food and groceries, 15,000, everything. If you look at all, she actually spends about 92,000. So she's left with 6,000 that she needs to get by and even maybe send some money to her parents. So if you look at Lynette's situation, it is clear that a high salary does not mean financial success. Wealth is built by managing money wisely, not just by earning it. So on one equation, she's earning not really bad money, but on the other hand, she's really utilizing the money as well. So let's go further and ask ourselves, let's just assess Lynette's financial position. So in terms of income, she has a pretty predictable income, so which is a really, really good thing. Expenses are underestimated. She's likely overspending. When you think about it, 6,000, and I talked about maybe she's not even going out as much. If you go back, entertainment is only 8,000. So most probably if she goes one extra Saturday out, the money is past what she needs to use. Then she's a status, she's a single mom of, sorry. No emergency savings if you just look at her savings, and then no financial goals really written down and documented. So I would like us to just again put on the chart, how many of us are living like Lynette with income that looks good on paper, but no idea where it actually goes? Or I don't want us to even say ourselves, who knows of a Lynette in their lives? Anyone who had ever come across a Lynette? Yeah? So familiar. Yes, there's some of us, at least if not us, we know someone who is a Lynette. So what do you think Lynette can do to redeem her position? Is there something that Lynette can do today to say, okay, fine, I can actually change my life? Most likely there is something that she can do. So I want us to just go to the next slide and say, can we help Lynette? Because that is why we are here. We have Lynette in our lives. We have been Lynette at some point in our lives. So what can Lynette do? One starting point is maybe she can reduce rent by just maybe looking at another place to live, slightly lower, not necessarily a very dingy place, but maybe reducing her rent from 35 to 30,000. I don't think when it comes to cutting entertainment and subscription, at times they look okay, and at times we don't need them. So for example, you have subscribed to Netflix, you're on Spotify, and you're in Apple Music. Do you need all of them? You can start thinking about it. Oh, David says, and she's not tithing, so even she's not complete. She has not even put aside money for going to church. So Lynette is significantly overspending. So she can look at reduce her transport. She's using Uber. Why can't she just wake up early and just make a matatu? Status at times it's in our mind. It's not necessarily what we are doing. So again, accelerate mobile loan repayment. Do you know how much on average mobile loans are? On average, it's about 7% per month. That is significantly expensive. So she can actually decide, I'm going to be borrowing, consolidate my loans, and take one good loan that is going to clear this and eliminate completely mobile loans. And then remember, life is not certain. So she needs to start introducing some financial priorities. At least let her save at source. If let's say, for example, Lynette, she's earning 120,000. She just puts a standing order of 10%, that is 12,000, to go straight to a savings account that she can use as an emergency fund initially, and can actually grow it to maybe create some capital. That would go a long way in helping Lynette. So the starting point is let's track our expenses. Let's ensure that when we find ourselves in a Lynette's position or situation, we can actually catch ourselves before it goes too far. So it is good that we have related, we know someone, we have been in that situation. Remember, at the end of the day, it is learning and catching ourselves as we start. So now let's now define financial wellness. That was a good background, because we want to understand when we talk about financial wellness, what does it really mean, and what are the things that are required for that? One, you have the financial wellness has three key things. One of them is self-awareness. Am I okay where I am? Am I okay with where I'm headed? And yes, and have I accepted it? I know where I am. I know where my goals are, and have accepted with where I am. So if again we go to Lynette's situation, she's okay with earning 120. She is okay by being a single mother. She is okay with all that. So that is very important. And understand that this is what I have or this is what I don't have. Then asking yourself, where do I want to go? Do I need to go back to school? Do I need to support my parents, and how do I do that? And then accepting this is the life that I have. So I want to end this by just defining what is financial wellness. So remember, at the end of it, is the aim of financial wellness is to be financially free. And what is financial freedom? is the ability to do what you want to do, with who you want to do it, at the time you want to do it, with money not being a significant determinant. Let's pause there. You want to go on holiday, you just say every year, I will be going on holiday because I have planned for it, not because of peer pressure and because it matters to me. And I don't have maybe to actually take a loan to do a consumption. So I'll take a loan for growth, but I'll not take a loan for consumption. So that is where financial wellness takes us. So it is very, very important for us to be aware of where we are and document our financial goals and then be ready to change them. So we shall be looking at what are the stages of financial wellness in a bit. So I want us to just take two quotes that sets us in terms of financial wellness quotes. So one is financial fitness is not a pipe dream or a state of mind. It is a reality if you are willing to pursue it and embrace it. We can actually decide, yes, I want to be financially well. I want to be financially fit. And we start working towards it. And the beauty is we have just started the journey, or we are in the journey because we have even joined this webinar. We are going to learn something that maybe we didn't know, or we are going to actually refine by starting what we wanted to do. So a person either disciplines his finances or his finances disciplines them. I don't know how we can relate with that. How many times do we feel ourselves like, oh, these finances are actually disciplining me. I would like to be different, but I don't have the money to. So it is always good to know that you have the power, and we are going to go through the four sessions. We will be looking at how do we make sure that we discipline our finances and become much, much better. Good. So I want us to just pause and ask ourselves, where are we really? And I will start by just defining the various stages of financial wellness, and then we shall take a pause and ask ourselves where we see ourselves. Many a times, we start off at a survival stage. Are we at survival stage? And what does survival really mean? We are living paycheck to paycheck. We are rally net, struggling with debt, covering basic expenses. And remember, as you start, and I'll just take a typical someone who has started, maybe finished school or just gotten into a job, you could find yourself in a survival mode. And it is part of life because you are creating capital for yourself. But the aim is to grow up and grow along the ladder. So you move from survival to stability. You're able to manage your debt. So you took a debt, you invested, you are able to manage that. You have some emergency savings. And emergency savings, as we shall look at it, is really having about 6 months of your living expenses. So your rent, your car loan, everything all saved in an emergency kitty. So that if you're told, okay, things are not so easy, so maybe you need to take a break from work, that you can be able to survive on as you even wait to get to the second level. So you are really stable, you are getting by, but you would like to move to the next level, which is security. You have an emergency income coming in there, and then you have your income is consistent, like what we saw in Lynette, and you're able to cover your expenses even with your income. And then finally is independence. That's where we all want to be. I know all of us want to be in abundance, but most of us will end up at independence, which is a good place, whereby your passive income is able to cover all your expenses. What does that mean? Your bond investment, your rental income, you can sleep and you are okay. That is where we all want to independence. We want to make sure that our money is working for us. And that is why this journey is we are going to work on. And then we have abundance, which is financial freedom. And you're looking at legacy. So we are going to go through the steps of from survival. What are the key things that I need to work from survival, from planning, and all the way to abundance? I was looking at some statistics and just people being tracked from the age, people starting to work at the age of 25 all the way to 65. If you look at where all of us ended up at, or people ended up at after the 40 years of working, only about 1% ends up at abundance. These are people who have built significant businesses. About 4% ends up at financial independence. A couple of them, about 5%, are on security. But unfortunately, about 60% are still struggling to survive. So you are either, depending on what is going on in your life, you're either at security or stability. So you are really not able to live independently and say, now I'm leaving this job, I'm leaving this work because I have sufficient money to make myself, to survive on. So we need to take a step back and just look at these two questions. Are your financial habits today aligned to the life goals you want to in the next 5 or 10 years? I would like some responses to, are your financial habits today aligned to you for the life you want in the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah, we have a couple of no, 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 yes, no, yes, and even a laugh, yes. So we need to recalibrate and look at, so what can we do today to actually look at our lives in 5 years and be very happy? Is your money working for you, or are you constantly working for money? That is a good question. Is there a way that you can say, my money is working for me? Or will you say, I don't even have money to work for me? Yeah. So it is good to work towards, yes, it is good working for money. So and that is survival. So what we want to make sure is that we are moving from survival today so that we can have something, and that something can actually work for us. So that is a good place to start. And I think that was a good place to answer the baseline survey. You can actually go through the baseline surveys to see where exactly are we? What can you, from the baseline survey, so that we can actually be able to see how can we help you walk the next journey. So the question is, we have looked at it and asked ourselves, we want to attain financial wellness, and this is where we want to go. But what is stopping you? What is really stopping you from working or getting to financial or making your money work for you, for you? I looked at two main things. And so one of them is mental conditioning. Many a times, we do not believe that we are worthy of even living a good life. For those of us maybe who were brought up in a place of lack, we actually never get ourselves out of that. So the mental conditioning is a big issue. So, and how does mental conditioning work? And how does it affect us? So you go, maybe you're in consulting, or you go to ask for a job, and you always underquote your pay. You're actually like, okay, fine, I don't think these people are going to pay me this much. So you underquote for your services, or you even underquote for them for the job that you're going to get. And then maybe you hear that, oh, maybe the what you would have been paid would be much better. So the mental conditioning and acceptance that you are worthy of making money, and the money is not a bad thing, because the other thing is, people at times, if you're brought up in a poverty mentality, quote unquote, you will always believe that money is not a good thing. And if money is not a good thing, then you don't attract it. So it's always good to make sure that we are acting and working on our minds, so that we are accepting and we're actually working towards bringing it closer to us. So beliefs of unworthiness is a big issue. And then the story we tell ourselves, which is self-sabotaging, is a big, big issue. So we need to work on ourselves, read as much as possible for us to, read as much as possible for us to change our mind. Always have a meeting with yourself. So just find out, how do you work to create positivity, and positivity will actually come to you. Attract it, and it's going to help you. The other big issue is financial knowledge. Many a times we are always like, it's very difficult for me to even understand the financial jargon. But if we spend a little bit of time just reading, just listening, and work and just getting what people are talking about, we will really, really get this financial knowledge. But the beauty is, we have actually started, because that's why we are here. We are going to ask questions. We are going to help each other, so that we can actually demystify ways to grow wealth, and to say and to accept that that is good. So I always give an example for those of us who did who went to campus, and we got what we used to call help. Many a times we never looked at that money as like money that we can start our investment journey. And we looked at it in terms of, this is only consumption money. Assuming at that particular time we actually put that money in a money market fund, what would it have done to us? One, would have seen the money grow. And then number two, it would have made it very easy for us to actually know, oh, okay, money multiplies. So financial knowledge is key. And I think it's one of those things that we always need to get out, look for it, because it is important for us to grow to that level. So I want this to be as engaging as possible. Let us assess your money mindset. You just received USD, that's like $1 million in bonus, or a good business deal. What will you do with that money? So you just got $1 million. What would you do with that money? So let's chat on that. Let's put it on the chat. Invest it in a 10-year bond. Thank you so much. Invest. Felix, buy a car, vacation fast, save, put it in a money market fund, build my mama house, put it in a real estate, buy land. Yeah, invest assets, buy land, pigia mwili pole. Great. There is tithing. Yes, buy a bond. We have very different conversation here. And what I like is that most of us are actually looking at investing. That is really, really good. Pay debt, buy stock, 20% pay my fees. Self-growth is important. So yes, this is super good because we are looking at use it on 50, 30, 30, 20. That is the budgeting rule. Do an analysis and find out. Yeah, it's moving really fast. Pay bills, go on vacation, create a portfolio. Great. When I look at these responses, really, really balanced. Some of us have looked at it and said, okay, fine. I don't get a million shillings all the time. So I will definitely invest. There is someone who says plug back in my business, get into matatu industry, hoping that you have done the research on the matatu industry, pay off debt, and then some of them put in an emergency portfolio. So it's always good to think about what does that mean? If you look at someone who is saying, I'm going to invest, this is an investor. This is someone who is looking at how do I grow my wealth going forward? So it is very good. And I'm really, really happy that most of us are actually looking at how do we improve ourselves. Yes, so we shall be looking at investment, different options on investing at a later stage so that we know what really works for us for now. Nitanunua to kingine. Yes, that is really, really good. So I want us to go through the various stages of wealth creation because now we have said, yes, we need to grow wealth. But is there a formula? Are there things that I can take today, move step by step, so that I am clearly walking towards the journey of financial freedom? The starting point is planning. So, and planning does not come in when you get the 1 million. Planning comes in from, this is me, this is where I stand. So this is how I can increase my money. And this is what I can do to actually grow it. So remember, we are looking at financial wellness end to end. I have to start by asking, I have 24 hours in a day. How much can I earn from that 24 hours? So I start by looking at what I have today. What are the skill set that I have? What connections do I have? What is there in my business? How can I expand it? Who else can I do this with? So planning comes with all those things. So money without a plan is like water in a leaking bucket. So we need to make sure that we are looking at a plan that works for us. Then, and we shall look at each of these things in details. Then the other thing is ask yourself, how do I earn? So I'm planning, then I start the earning process because unless I am earning, I'm not able to plan that money. I'm not able to do anything. So what are the various ways in which I can increase my earning? Then how do I save? So savings gives you option, not savings means you are stuck. So savings will always give you a discipline. And that discipline is what you need today to actually grow to the next level. Then after I have saved, then I need to consume. How do I budget? How do I use my money? It is very important. So budgeting becomes a significant part in what we are doing. Then remember I have saved, but that money could be earning a very low income. Then the question is, how can I make this money work for me? So I save, I move it into an investment for it to work for me. So saving protects you, but investing multiplies the money that you have. Then remember, you have to protect that which you have built. So you need to think about your insurances, you need to think about all that. And then finally, impact and legacy, because we said at the top level of wealth creation is where you have a lot of abundance. Then you have to think about if what I'm doing today, who are going to be the beneficiaries and how do I transfer that money to them? So those are the stages that we are going to look at so that we see what is it that we are doing right and what is it that we can actually work on to improve. So let's start by planning your goals. How do you determine what your goals are? There are various ways in which you can actually come up with your goals. How many of us did our New Year's resolutions? Maybe in the chat, how many of us did New Year's resolution in our mind, in writing, telling our friends, what are some of the New Year's resolution we did? And how are we doing with them right now? Good. We have a lot of people who did their New Year resolution. And how many of us are sticking to their New Year resolutions? Going on well. Thank you, Katarina. Yes. The beauty about doing goals is one, at least you know roughly where you're going. So there are various ways in which you can actually decide to write and document your goals. One of them is the smarter goal setting. So you are very specific on, this is where I want to be. I have not been doing I've not been doing savings. So the first thing that you need to do is really say, I'm starting to save next month. And in starting to save next month, you walk to your bank and do a standing order to either a savings account within your bank, within DTB, or into a money market fund. It has to be very specific. I'm earning 100,000, so 5,000 will definitely go to that. So it is very, very important. Then make sure that you are not saying that, okay, fine, I'm going to save 20,000, I'm earning 100,000, I'm going to save 20, 30,000, and then you realize that you can't sustain it, because if you do, you quickly fall back. And then it has to be within what you want to do, and it's time bound. So the problem that we have when with us looking at goals, at times we look at it in terms of it puts a lot of rigidity on us, and that's why we don't want to do them. But remember, you can always review your goals. You can always be able to say, okay, this is not working for me. How do I change it? So that's why when you think about smart goal settings, it has evolved to smarter. I can evaluate, I can say, is it relevant? If, for example, I started doing these goals before I got a kid. When the kid comes, that's a significant issue. I need to change it. Maybe when I was doing my business, I didn't have a business partner. When the business partner comes in, we need to sit down and redo them. So it is always good to keep, no matter how fluid they are, at least work towards something. And the first step is starting. Please do not procrastinate. Let's start, because that is important. So how then, is there a framework of coming up with goals? So we have talked about, this is the goal setting process, but how do you come up holistically and say, I have actually looked at all my goals very well? So you need to look at your goals from a total human being, and that is called the spheres of life. A total human being. So you have to say, what are my career goals, career and work goals? I'm going to start a business, or I'm going to look for another job. For me to start another job, I need to go back to school, all that. So that is one aspect. The other aspect is family. This is the context of the family that I have. I need to pay school fees, or I need to support my parents. I need to support X. This is what ideally I want to, or even I want to change the way my family lives. So then you need to think about, these are the specific things I need to look at. I need to reduce my expenses that we are using maybe in the family. That is other things. Then the other thing is about your personal goal. Remember, you're the most important equation here. So you have to keep investing in yourself. Could it be going back to school? Could it maybe joining a course? Could it be just, and remember, you have to think about it in a very minute way. How am I improving myself? The other thing is about health and well-being. How do you keep fit? It is very important, because you have to know, am I spending money by going to the gym? Am I going to run, which is free? Am I going to join a running club? All those things have to come in. Then ask yourself, how much am I willing to spend on that? Then spirituality and values. When you are going through the charts, there are people who are saying that if I get 1,000,000 shillings, the first thing I'll do is tithe. How important is spirituality to you? Have you budgeted for it? It is important, because if you're a spiritual person, you don't tithe, you don't you don't provide for it, you will feel really bad. Because remember, at the end of the day, you need to make sure that you are working on the person that is you. Then relationships and community, what is important for you? That is very important. What is the legacy you want to leave? I want to make sure that by the time I'm done, I am gone, my kids have something by my name. And so that I'm starting to invest based on that today. If it is putting a trust, if it's doing my will, it is important. And then finally, remember, you have to think about you. You are you as human as it comes. So leisure and enjoyment, how much are you putting for that? You cannot live like a pauper. You have to make sure that you are happy, so that you can actually be able to move forward. So all these things will help you come up with a very, very good goal setting, because if you leave any of this as a person, you will not lead a very comfortable life. If, for example, you like being close to your friends, or it is very important for you to have relationships with people around you, if you don't budget for it, you will definitely get out and spend money that was not supposed to be spent. So let's budget for it. Even for black tax, budget for it. Create a plan for it, because it is important and it is going to come. So that is very important. So we need then to think about, this is what I'm earning and I want to be empowered. So I need to plan with purpose. So again, we have said, I need to start by understanding my position. We have defined our goals and we have gone through it. But remember, you will not be able to deliver everything that you need. You will not be able to. So you have to prioritize and say, okay, this month, I might not be able to pay for the gym. So I will maybe change it and I will run. That money I'm going to send to my mother because she needs XYZ. So prioritization comes in. Then you must make sure that you are saving. Please, let me give a good example on saving. Do not think up, don't wait for the money to get into your account, or maybe you're paid. And then that's when you're thinking, oh, where am I going to save? Think about it today. Put a standing order. Because the moment the money lands into your, let me even make it more dramatic, into your digital account, someone will get sick or you'll be the WhatsApp group that you'll have to send money to. So prioritize and automate your savings as much as possible. Make sure you are actually account for your expenses. I keep saying that I struggle with the expenses in terms of following it end to end, but say extend yourself some grace and bucket them and say, this is the amount of money I'm going to use for shopping. Please don't go past that. Get an accountability person. Then plan debt repayment. It is important. And plan for your enjoyment. You have talked about it. And then remember, I have said again, review and adjust. Keep rinsing and repeating, because things will change. You will get an emergency that you need to work on. So always make sure that you're reviewing and adjusting, but create a formula of always looking at your goals every quarter. I would suggest every quarter, because maybe monthly might be difficult, but every quarter, force yourself. Do you need help doing that? You might need to speak to your relationship person at the bank or your investment advisor, because that is important. Great. So we have talked about all that ways of making money. And the other thing that now the next bit is income. How do you increase your income? So remember, I always say that look at yourself as an organization and have your profit and loss. One of the things that we always do is that we look at ourselves very different from how we do our organization or where we are employed. But when you look at yourself like an organization, all the basics of the good things that you learn will always come here. So the question is, you want to increase your income. I want to start by just a quote here that says, when you work on something that only has the capacity to make you $5, it does not matter how much harder you work, the most you will make is $5. So you need to ask yourself, how can I increase? I have extra time. How can I increase the amount of money that I'm earning? So one, maybe it's, how do you monetize your side hustle? If you need assistance in monetizing your side hustle, there are very many people who can be able to help you and take you through that journey and create an accountability framework for you. Maybe it's time to negotiate a raise, but remember, you just can't talk to your employer and say, okay, now I think I need more money. No, what is the value that you are providing? Work on provision of value. People pay for value. So you have to, as you negotiate for value, ask what is it that you're giving? What is it that you're giving based on compared to what you were giving maybe before? Then further your education. There is one thing that we must all do. It is not only further your education, and even grow your networks. You can never grow unless you are actually better than you were yesterday. So invest in yourself. You're the most important person for you to be able to increase your income. That is very, very important. So we talked about earning. You need to think about, what income am I getting because I'm trading my time? And what income can I get because my money is working for me? Yeah. So when you think about active income, I have to be there. I have to do the work. So these are things like salaries and time-based effort. So you need to think about, how do I maximize on that income that I'm getting from an active trading of my time, then move that income to that whatever you're earning to more passive income, more effortless. And then these are largely assets. We need to think about that. Think about how much of your money is actually coming from you being present and how much is coming even when you are asleep. So your income is your seed. So what you're getting is your seed, but wealth is the fruit of how you plant it. So I have earned 100,000. I must put 20,000 away because I want to make sure that this is multiplying. So the aim is to make sure that we are reducing the amount of money that we are making from active income and growing our passive income as much as possible. So let's work on that and actually understand what is it that I need today to actually grow my passive income. So how comes then we can actually have people who started working at the same time, but in terms of the amount of money they have or the amount of money they are making from their passive income, it's actually different. What are some of the things that we can think about that makes other people much almost like grow faster than us? So I have just put in some little thing that will really help you maybe think about what is it that you can do. One of them is entrepreneurial and mindset and creativity. So what can you do? And when you think about entrepreneurial mindset, you don't have to leave your job. You can become an entrepreneur within the organization that you are in. Create value. Can you ask, how can we do this different? How can we do this different? And that way, you'll actually be able to even make more money, and you can actually be able to commoditize some of those things. So think about your entrepreneur. And can it be learned? Yes. You can actually spend time understanding, learning people what they have done, and then just being able to actually grow and start businesses or even make savings for the business that you are in. Then the other thing is really financial literacy, learning how to commit your money, using your money as a tool. How do you commit your money to actually grow? It is of absolute importance. So convert your earned income. Make sure that everything that you put in, you're putting in a savings account that is earning something for you. Then the other key thing is about capital availability. So most of the times, some people are luckier than us. They will maybe than others. So you'll actually see that someone who you completed schools together, but they had a head start. But remember, the head start does not mean that you will always be on the last end. So you can actually grow your capital by actively looking for side hustles and investing that money back. Then the other key thing is risk appetite. We are all different. But remember, at the end of the day is how well you sleep at night. So there are some low risk options that you can use, and you can actually just put a standing order. I'll give you an example. Maybe you put your money in a pension scheme. It helps you save on tax. As it helps you save on tax, it's actually helping you multiply your income. And so you are really not taking a lot of risk, but you're using the frameworks that are already available for you to be able to do to actually grow your income. The other issue is the stage of life and career. Some of us will actually decide that I want to be a mommy and I want to take a break. I want to take a break and just take care of my kids. So that again will affect your passive income. So it is always good to understand where you are and what you want to go. So remember when we talked about goal setting for your career goals, or your career goals and family goals are intertwined. So you are one person with conflicting conversations. So you need to understand what is important for me, and then say, am I okay with that? And is it going to affect my passive income, and time and effort capacity? There are things that no matter how well you're told that you can make a lot of money here, you don't have the time, you don't have the mental capacity to even do it. So it's okay, but you can always focus on that which you can be able to do it. So passive income doesn't mean no work. Remember, passive income does not mean no work. You wake up and sleep and go to the beach. No, it means less work over time. Work over time. So you have to, over time, money will be working for you, have more options. But you'll actually realize people with more passive income, maybe they even work more. Then most passive income starts out very active. So building, learning, investing, because you're creating a passive income. I'll give you an example, like someone who's investing in a digital space. They will be getting maybe some income based on subscriptions. Initially, they have to learn a lot. They have to be coding, almost like getting people to code for them. It is a lot of intense work. But once the money starts coming in, it's almost like an annuity income. But they need to continue innovating, because in this world where we have a lot of AI and all that, people are also doing exactly what you're doing. So we need to grow. So passive income, the aim is to grow as much as possible our passive income. But the question is, you need to look at your specific situation. Yeah, you have to look at your specific situation, because that is what is going to determine how well you can grow. So I want us to pause and reflect. What's your income really telling you? Is your lifestyle sustainable? Yeah. What are some of the passive income ideas that are coming to your mind? Maybe you can just, I don't know whether we can still chat, but can you think about some of your passive income that you're going to think about it? Ooh, please, Reni, tenderpreneur. Low risk, high yield. I'm not sure. I don't talk about it in the Kenyan context because things are different. But when you think about entrepreneur, the question is, how sustainable is it? Yeah, you need to think about how sustainable is as you're looking at this, or is it, how do you grow it into the next level? So is your lifestyle sustainable? Going out every weekend or whatever, is it sustainable? What is it called? What is it affecting in terms of the long term, 10 years from today? Black tax is squandering me. Please, Derek, yes, black tax is there, but you can create a boundary, create boundaries. It's always good to read books about boundary. It is important. Then reflect on how current income is used for future wealth building. Please track your expenses. How can we know how much we worked on? How much we spent last month? So then the other key is income dependency. So accessing the percentage of income requiring active involvement, we need to do that. So let's always think about when we are getting into a business, and I think that those are some of the conversation. When you're getting into a business, do your work. Yeah, do your homework, because you always want to do the best. So we have looked at the top line of your P&L, which is income. This is how I'm working on. So the second one is now consumption. This is expenses. This is where budgeting comes in. How many of us really have a true budget? Is there any of us who have a budget at least, or is it vaguely? How many of us maybe have a budget? Yes, no, maybe? I do. Thank you. Yes. Perfect. Yes, a couple of us have. Most of us actually have. Some of us somehow have in our minds. So it is always good to think about, let's rough estimate, even if bucketed expenses, it's very important. At least it's a good starting point. So don't tell me what you value, show me your budget, and I tell you what you value. Yeah. So at times, what we spend our money on is what is important. So one of them, create a budget and identify all income sources and expenses to understand your financial flow, because you cannot consume that which you don't have. Then set financial goals. We have talked about that. We have talked about prioritizing your spending. What now I want us to focus on is on tracking your spending. So regularly monitor your expenses and stay within budget. You will occasionally find yourself off budget, but it is good to always track your expenses so that you know how you're doing. Then set aside funds for emergencies to maintain your financial stability. That is very important when it comes to consumption. Most of the things that really takes us off budget is unplanned expenses that we can't do nothing about. So just knowing how your expenses are, we have fixed and variable expenses. Your rent is fixed. Your variable expenses would vary, would be like transport and all that. So understanding the difference helps in identifying the areas of flexibility so that you can actually be able to know, this one I can cut, this one I can reduce. Then always making sure that as you're coming up with your budget, you're looking at 50%. Are they really, these are things that you must do. 30% you can play around with, and then 20% you must invest. So we have agreed that we must invest. And then the other key issue that we need to think about, what are your expense leaks? What is it that you spend money on that you can actually reduce or you can actually do away with? So identifying and controlling unnoticed expenses is important. And when it comes to the 20%, 10% to 20% savings. So you have 10% goes to debt repayment if you have a debt, and then 10% goes to investment. So the question is always like, do I prioritize debt repayment versus investing, or what works? The thing is, if you don't have an emergency kitty, even if you repay, in the process of repaying your debt, you'll find yourself again getting into another debt because of emergencies. So it's always good to have at least an emergency kitty and that's what I call investing, even as you work on your debt repayment. So if then it is important for us to determine how our expenses are, then I need to look at what is our want and what is a need. Yeah, what is our want and what is a need? You see, at times I want something, but I really don't need it. So I need to make sure that I know what is it I can do away with. So support daily functioning. That is really, I want is supports daily functioning. I have to eat. I have to sleep in a house. I have to pay school fees. So all those things are really things that I must do. The wants are actually enhancing my comfort. I want to Uber as opposed to getting into a matatu. Is it necessary? If I can afford it, fine, but I can still get to my destination using a different way. So using Uber becomes a want, while getting to work becomes a need. So the other issue is about when it comes to wants is really emotional spending signals. You always spend because the boss was upset with you, or they told you something that you don't like, or your mother called you and she told you 1, 2, 3 things that you don't like, or your business partner just did something and you're like, hata mimi nachukua hiyo pesa, I'm going to eat it. So those are some of the things that you're like, you don't need, these are just our wants and you can do away with them. And then you need to think about high utility frequency use items as whether wants or needs, because some of them you might not need them. Like you might not need to have more than one subscription to listen to music. Yeah, you actually can maybe YouTube without necessarily incurring a cost. So one of the things that you need to think about when you whether to determine someone is a want or a need is the 24-hour rule. If you're unsure, wait 24 hours before buying it. If it's still important and logical after that, it may lean closer to a need. So you are walking and you need a handbag. Okay, you think you need a handbag, so you go a window shop, but then sleep over it. Once you sleep over it and you still need that handbag, please buy it. So it is very important for us to understand how do we classify these two and how do they change your life when it comes to they change the quality of your life. So that is on the expenses side. But now we even have the assets and liabilities on the balance sheet side. So what are some of the assets and what are some of the liabilities? So we need to think about, when you think about an asset, it is something that is adding value to you. A liability could look like an asset, but it's not adding value to you. So for as long as something is not increasing in value, we look at it as a liability. So rental property ideally would be a good asset. Money market fund is an asset. But when you think about a mobile phone, yes, it increases status. It increases status, but it depreciates. So the question is, if you can afford it, it's fine, but you don't have to buy the most expensive. You don't need to. It's a communication gadget. So when you think about a credit card, maybe at times, when you think about a credit card, at times it could be a good emergency, but use it when you must. So it is very important. So there's a question that I asked, is a car a liability or an asset? It depends. If it is helping you earn a living, it is an asset. If it is for comfort and show off, it is a liability because it is depreciating. So I want us to ask this question and then we take a break. List 3 things that you currently own that are helping you. 3 things that you own, are they currently hurting or helping your financial position? Yeah. So list 3 things you currently own. Are they helping or hurting your financial position? You could chat on the group. You could put it in for yourself. Yeah. Then the other assignment that I want us to do is, even as we go for a break, is think of 5 expenses from the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Think 5 expenses from the last 2 weeks that you didn't plan for. Write them down, then label them. Are they important? Are they a need or a want? Yeah. So think of 5 expenses from last 2 weeks that you didn't plan for. Write them down, then label them. Are they a need or a want? So please write them down and respond it to yourself and say, how would I have done it differently? Would I have, if I was to do it today, would it be still it? So Mantu, I want us to take a break and take questions.
Yes.
Back to you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for a great first session. So I think we can take, like you've said, a few questions. Let me just read a few of them from the Q&A tab, and then we can proceed on a short break. So Michael Odhiambo says, how can I use my salary to start investments? And he specifies rental houses, which is very demanding financially, and still have an emergency fund. Yeah, so I don't know if you'd prefer I read a few and you answer at once, or we can go one after the other.
I think it's better to have 3 and then we respond to the cause of time.
Great. Then we have an anonymous attendee who's asking, where can they start on their financial wellness journey when they don't have a job? And then the last question is, what percentage of income must your money generate in interest to consider it working for you? I don't know if that's clear. Yeah. But yes, we can have a go at those first 3 questions.
Okay. So I think the first question was, how do I use my salary to start investing in rental income?
Yes.
So the key thing is you see, we started by saying understanding where you are. So depending on the amount of money that you are earning, how much you can put aside, it determines how your journey looks like. Because if I want to do rental income, rental houses, the question is, do I have the property? Do I know where I want to do it? But when it comes to property investment, remember it's very capital intensive. So you have to think about, how am I going to grow this over time? So how am I going to finance this? Because you don't want to start and then you're stuck in the middle because your money is there and you are paying maybe a mortgage or a loan. So salary, it's The standing orders, put how much money you need, do the work of how much you'll require, and then see how long it's going to take you to start. Once you commit to that, then you can be able to maybe approach a bank. They could be able to give you a loan that will be able to do that. However, remember, you cannot go to the bank with an empty with an empty hand. So the question is, how long is it going to take you and to actually create the deposit that is required to start that business? So yes, salary can, but the question is the how much that you need and how much you are able to put aside. So the other question is, where can they start if they have no when you have nothing, when you don't have a job? So you look at, yes, you continue to look for the job if you get a job, but in the meantime, what you still have 24 hours. What is it that you can do today within those 24 hours to actually get something? So do you have a hobby that you can actually monetize? I'll give you an example. There are very many parents who would like their kids taught something. Could it be swimming? Could it be skating? Could it be anything? That is something to start. So do not, if for example, I'm a natural science student or a natural science graduate, waiting for an actual job, I could wait for long, but I can start with where you are. And I'll give an example of someone that I always really admire, and I don't know whether for some of us who know her. Her name is Amakovewala. If you look at what she does, she's a doctor, medical doctor, but now she's actually selling fish. So it's something that is very different. So when you look at the ideal situation, she would be in a consultancy doing whatever, but she's okay doing this as even she gets to the consultancy job. So do not look at things differently. Do not expect to start at managerial level when you can actually start where you are. So it's always good to make sure that you are looking at yourself and saying, this is what I have today, I need to make things by, and that is also important. Then the other thing, what's percentage income that would I say that my money is working for you? The issue is not percentage income, the percentage interest that I'm earning that is going to tell me now my money is working for me. Because remember, depending on your wealth that you have, a 20% might mean very different from a 10% from someone. So it is very, very important for you to look at your situation today and say, I need 500,000 to survive. How can I get 500,000? I need 50,000 to survive. I need 5,000 to survive. How can I make that money without necessarily working? So your passive income is relative to your expenses, how much you need. So it's very personal. That is why when you think about it, it's really personal finance. It is the situations are very different. So percentage, so the key thing is when you're investing, understand your risk levels so that you know how to progress from there. So back to you, Mantwe.
Thank you so much. I think we can also just take one more from those who raised their hands. So John Odero, I'm going to allow you to unmute. Please ask your question before we proceed on break. John? All right, let me, yes, there we go. John? Okay, I think we can try one more person, Gideon Masharia. You can ask your question. All right. Okay, I think we will stick to the questions in the Q&A tab. So let's proceed on our break. We will be back by, let's say, 12:10. So we shall be back by 12:10. And as we go on break, please take your time to fill in the baseline survey. We will share in the chat. And see you in a few minutes. Take your, have a stretch, drink your tea. See you in a few. Thank you everybody. We have the session until 1, so it's a 2-hour session. And just to answer the queries around the slides and recordings, we will share the same. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, and great to be back. There are quite a number of engaging questions on the chat, and I think one of the questions that people are asking is about investment options, which I think we will weave them in the next presentation. Today was laying the foundation so that we can actually decide where is it that I can put my money, what are my options, and just give me 1 minute. So we ended at 5 expenses. So tell yourself the expenses, classify them, because it is important for us to know where you're starting. Yeah. So we've talked about earning, we have talked about consumption. Now let's talk about savings. So try to save something while your salary is small. It is impossible to save after you begin to earn more, because it is a culture that you're creating. So it is important. And I keep giving this example. So if I'm earning 50,000 and the 50 that I'm earning 50,000, does the quality of my life change significantly if I earn 45? Does the places I go to change? Does the place I live change? I don't know, people on the chat, if you can tell us, what do you think? Someone who is earning 50,000 and the someone who is earning 45,000, are their lives significantly different? There is one yes. There are more no's. It depends. Not really. So there is I take the view that it is largely the same. The quality of life is not significantly different. So why then don't someone earning 50,000 start saving? It is because they have no money to save, isn't it? But when you think about it, you can actually, if you're earning 45,000 and you're earning 50,000, the neighborhood will not be so different. The way you come to work, maybe you'll need to come a bit earlier so that you can get instead of paying 50 bob per day, 50 bob coming to town, you pay 40 bob. So your life would change slightly, but not significantly. But when you think about 5,000 every month for 12 months, that's 60,000. It is something. So we need to think about investing in that manner, whereby it does not necessarily significantly change your quality of life, but it actually has the potential of changing a lot that you do. So when you think about savings, uh, you start early because it's a mindset that you're changing. If you're earning 50,000, you start saving. Even the day you earn 100, 200, you'll actually save more. That is very important. Then have a plan. The plan should always be about 10 to 20, 10 to 20% of your salary. Then when you think about the key thing that happened last year with all the issues that the tax bill had, one of the key winning was the pension industry. So when you think about pension, right now you can contribute up to a maximum of 30,000 into a pension fund without, which is tax-free. It saves you a lot. So when you think about someone earning 100,000 and someone 100,000 and so it is always good to think about that, and it's math that I can share. Then emergency fund, we have talked about that. Please always have something. We can start small and start growing. Then monthly expenses, make sure that you're paying on time to avoid penalties. And then always make sure that you have a medical cover as much as possible. I think, yes, especially if you're getting elderly, you're advancing in age, and also if you are in private sector and maybe not employed, it is important to do that, because that is one of the things that really sends businesses out of many people out of business. Always think about that. So financial savings is really the financial security. Is the ultimate goal. That is the ultimate goal, to create a financial security. So we have talked about the emergency, immediate financial safety net. That is what you can actually get to. And we are not saying that have this money somewhere it's not earning. Put it in a savings account that is accessible. Putting it in a money market fund, because that is what you can easily be able to access it if something happens. Then do not save for saving's sake. At times when you have a goal and you are driven by that goal, it is the feeling of accomplishment pushes you. So get a goal-based approach, goal-based investment approach that is going to help you. So I'm saving for the education, I'm done. I'm saving for a house, I'm done. And in the house, I will buy a property, I'll buy land in the next 3 years, then I start building. That way, it gives you the motivation to continue. As much as possible, automate your savings so that it helps you. It helps you not to think about it. Then finally, make sure that you flexible savings for variable income. So just make sure that depending on how your income is, there's someone who was asking me, I'm paid on commission. You can smoothen your income based on once you know how your income comes in. So make sure that you smoothen that. The way you can do that is really laddering your income. So the day you get a good commission, you put it somewhere, and then you'll be drawing it down as need comes. So if money could talk, what would it say about your current habits? And what is your biggest financial concern today? Have we thought about that? I know it's something that we have really talked about. Maybe I'm not earning, I have debts and don't have. What are some of the biggest financial concerns that you have today? And really, if your money could talk, what would it say today? So it's always good we could have something on the chat, someone writing on the chat to just tell us. My money will say I'm poor. Taxes, biggest concern. Bad manager, we will be doing badly. So remember, we said the relationship we are having with money. So, and it is good to accept this is where I am and this is what I'm going to do. You need me. You need me seriously. Yes, spending bipolar. Yeah, and I just want to say about spending bipolar. Sleep over it. 24 hours rules really comes in a big way. Take care of me. Yes, make me work for you. And I would take that further. Take care of me so that I can take care of you. Yeah, so that is very important for us to know. So I want us to go to investments. And as I've said, I think we shall take a whole session that we can look at various investment options. But I will start with a quote here. Money grows in different gardens: deposits, pension stocks, land, businesses, or knowledge. The wise investor learns to water more than one. So this is basically about diversification. If I'm earning this money, if I'm earning a salary, how else do I increase my income sources? It is by investing. So you need to learn how to water them, and watering them is really understanding three key things. How much am I making from this money? Number two, what is the risk? How will I get my money back? Those three things you must always ask yourself. When someone comes and tells you, this is the investment you need to undertake, what is the return? What is the risk that I'm taking? And how will I get my money back? That is very important. So those are the three questions that we always must ask ourselves. So we can look at investments in two broad ways, in terms of level of complexity and in terms of formality. At times we think about chamas and we think that that's not an investment, but it depends. You can actually have a chama that is an investment vehicle. So in terms of informality, you might not really be registered, but it's always good to err in the side of formality, especially for long term. And especially when you think about legacy and how you're going to bequeath your assets to your kids. So in terms of informality, maybe something like starting a business, it is always good to register your business. Yes, you'll say the taxman will come, but it helps you to actually even get funding when you formalize your business. So informal, some things that are highly complex and informal are like a business. It is good to see how you get into branding successful businesses. So in terms of complexity, the reason why starting a business is complex is because you have to understand all the pillars of running a business. What product am I in? You have to manage people, you have to manage promotion, and you have to manage processes. So it's complex, but once it goes well, it goes really well. So it's always good to understand, I'm going to invest in this business, and this is how I'm going to work on it. A very easy one-pager summary of how I'm going to run a business. Is it going to be easy? You might not have all the qualities, that's why it's complex, but it can be informal. However, erring into the side of formality is the key thing. Then there are more highly complex and formal channels, like the investing in pooled funds. I think there's someone who had talked about a real estate investment trust, which is just a commingled fund that invests in real estate. So understanding what you're looking for. So if, for example, you don't want to get volatility, you cannot invest in an equity fund, because equity fund invests in stocks, and stocks are volatile. So understanding where you're going. So highly complex because you have to make that decision, and 100% formal and regulated. Then there are other ones that are less complex, like the staff retirement benefit schemes. It's what it is. You don't make any decision. You just get your results at the end of the day. Then the other ones would be informal, like personal investments. You can make the decision very easy, but at the same time, you must make sure that you are asking the right question. So again, my return, my risk, and how money is going to get back to you. So we can look at various investment options and just say, what is it that I have? And again, remember, when you're deciding which investment to go into, ask yourself, how much time do you have to commit? Because some of these ones, like you're starting a business and you're employed, you will be, in most cases, you don't have the time to run that business. And when you don't have time to run that business, what happens? You actually fund that business from your salary. So it's always good to understand what we're doing and work on it. So what are some of the key considerations that we need to take care of when we're thinking about investing? One is the time horizon. So two things: time investment required. How much time do I need to look at this investment so that they can make money? If you don't have a lot of time, then make sure that you go to completely passive investments, so time available, and also time available to maturity when you require that money. Because you said we are doing goal-based investment. So how much time do I have? If it's a retirement fund, how much time do I have to put towards retirement? If it's buying a car, how long do I need to do that? So time available is key. Then age. I think age and generation, there's a time I was doing a presentation about generational changes, and you can actually see what boomers, millennials, Gen Zs actually care for is very different. You'll realize that the Gen Zs, no matter how erratic they are saying, they're actually social at heart. They want to make sure that they mean good. So they want to make sure that they will not invest in something if it has no social good. So in as much as they want money, they actually want to make sure that they're making the world a better place. So it's always good to understand age and the dynamics so that you can also know, as I'm investing and as I'm passing on this wealth to the next generation, what is it I'm doing? Then the other thing is about income level. If you have little income, then there are options that you cannot be able to invest in. I'll give you an example. If you wanted to do a real estate investment trust, that is investing in development property, you need 5 million as a minimum. So you see, if you don't have that kind of money, then you cannot be able to take care of it. When you think about the money market funds, again, different funds give different minimums. There's some that gives 100 shillings as the minimum. There's some that give 100,000. There's some that even give 250,000. So you just need to know how much you have, because that will determine what options you have. Then your sophistication. Experienced investors can handle complex investments. And I keep saying sophistication in terms of reality. Do not think that you're sophisticated if you are not. If, for example, someone comes and tells you that you can invest in crypto and you don't understand it, please do not touch it because you do not understand it. And the probability of investing in something that you do not understand, the probability of losing money is almost 90%. So sophistication, but sophistication according to you. Yeah, so just make sure that you take that key. Then the net worth, how much do you have? So if you look at some of the newspaper articles, someone would have investments in ABCD. So you cannot be able to have investment in like 5 organizations and you become top level if you don't have enough money to do that. So the question is, how much do you have to invest and how are you growing that amount? It is very important. Then investment knowledge. The beauty is with technology now you can read about anything, but the question is, do you have the time to do it? So you need to make sure that you are looking at that. Then taxation status, impact investment returns and decisions. So it is important for us to understand if you invest through a unit trust, the unit trust is tax exempt. However, you as an investor, you'll actually get taxed at the end, but the tax rate actually vary from various investment to various investments. So if, for example, you're investing in government securities, you invest in a long-term bond, the risk and an infrastructure bond is tax-free. Some bonds are taxed at 15, some at 10. So just understanding those various issues. Yeah, so it is very, very important for us to understand all these things and ask ourselves, okay, I'm doing this investment. What is the end goal and what are my nuances? I cannot invest everything that I have in one investment. So if, for example, I get my pension paid out, I should not put it in one particular portfolio. I can be able to diversify, put some in income generating, take a little bit of risk. But the key is really do not wait until retirement and take your retirement money to start a business. It will for sure go. So just make sure that you start early so that you know exactly what to do and navigate. So I want us to just 1 or 2 questions. What is one money mistake you regret the most? What is one mistake? And can you combine that? What's one financial lesson you wish you learned early in life? For me, it's the power of compounding. I knew it, but it was for passing exams. It was not for investing. So for you, what is one money mistake you regret the most? And then number 2, what is one financial lessons you wish you learned early in life? Black tax loaning money. Oh my God, Patricia, me and you both. Expenditure. Actually, bad debts. Investment. Harris, too broad, spending help, yet it's a loan, unnecessary pyramid scheme, bank savings, black tax, alcohol. Alcohol is not an investment. Okay, black tax money, unnecessary loan. Actually, yes, when you think about it, some of the money mistakes that we have are really investing without doing the analysis. Someone tells you it's a good thing, you invest. Number 2, loaning people money because they won't return. The friendship will go, the money won't come back. So you need to be very careful When someone asks you for money, please give them the money that you're willing to lose if you care for the friendship. If you care for the friendship, don't give the money. So it's very, very important. And then the other thing is taking loans because you've been told the interest rate is low, and then you take the money and then look for the business to do with the money. You'll definitely, the money will get finished and you don't have a business to do. So always make sure that you look at, you take a loan knowing this is where the money is going to be. What's the financial lesson you wish you learned early in life? I think that one you haven't responded. Anyone can tell us any financial lesson they wish they learned? For unemployed, renting a two-wheeler is a good start. Thank you. So compounding, I wish you learned that. Never-ending payments, financial planning, lesson saved before I spend. Good. So it's good that we all have something to learn from each other. I think not investing early in your career or always telling yourself, Pole, money partners, actually, yes, just knowing that the investment decisions are really personal. That is also a good thing to learn. So we have talked about how I plan how to make money. I make the money, I save the money and invest it. I consume the money, and this is what I need to do to consume that, to get these are the things that I need to be sure of. But now I need to plan at what time do I stop actively trading my money, my time for money. So and that is what is called retirement planning. Retirement planning is not an issue of I will stop working. It is ultimate financial freedom where I'm saying I will work because I need to. No, I want to, not because I need to. So I can continue trading my time, but because I want to. So when you think about planning for retirement, you will need 70 to 80% of your pre-retirement income to maintain your income level during retirement. Let me give you context. If you shall be earning 100,000 by the time you're retiring, your income from everything that you have invested, at least you need to make 80,000 net. And that is not even it, because as you age, as you grow older, you'll spend a lot of your money on medical. Statistics shows that most retirees spend almost 60% of their income on medical. So those are some of the things that we need to be aware today. Whether you're running a business, how are you going to prepare yourself for that particular point? So what are the key causes of poor retirement planning? One of them is lack of planning. We have failing to create a retirement plan and then starting saving too late. So if you think about it, most of us who run businesses or who are employed, we get retirement planning classes just before we retire. So 10 years or 5 years to retirement. What would that help you? So we need to start thinking about retirement planning as someone gets into their job place. You tell them, you know what, in a few years' time, you are going to go home and you'll be frail and not be able to work. So let's work on that path with you. Then the other thing is investment issues, investing in things that you do not understand, and then lack of diversification and relying on benefits for business. The relying on benefits for business is like you wait until retirement, and then that's when you're starting a business because you're like, I need something to do. So you need to realize that if you're going to get into business when you retire, please start it today so that you learn all the pitfalls, so that you look for all the support, so that by the time you're retiring, you actually know this is how things are going to run. Then the other key issue is when you're in retirement, cash is king. So for those of us who have seen my book called Thrive, it was forwarded by one of the retirees, the former CEO of the Retirement Benefits Authority, and I think he has some interview on YouTube about importance of liquidity. You must have money when you retire. Why is that important? One, because simple things like reading a newspaper, subscribing to a newspaper used to be done for. When you retire, no one is bringing you that. You'll require more money to maintain the same lifestyle. So it's very good to make sure that you're looking at investments, but more liquid investment. What income is coming in? Then the other key issue that you cannot go to retirement with debt. So, or fixed expenses. Try as much as possible to clear as much as possible, and then financial mismanagement for you on other people. Then the other key issue is relying on future uncertain benefits, and then starting saving too late, and then timing problem. You must start today. So when you think about retirement, the question is, are you contributing as much as you can to your retirement scheme? Remember, you can save on tax by doing that, and you'll even get more options if you invested in some of those, if you took advantage of the product. So again, retirement planning is a whole conversation with very different products that speaks to different people. So you can take an insurance product, you can invest in money, you can invest in the money market fund for liquidity purposes, you can invest in the pension scheme. Again, different providers. So it is good that that conversation can also be held so that you can understand what it is that you're looking at. Then finally, it's legacy. The question is, you have worked so hard. Is it going to the right people? The people that you cared for? How many stories have we had of people who worked so hard, but the money ends up being consumed by other people? So it's a big challenge. So secure your legacy today. Think about financial planning, and financial planning cannot end until you have it outlives you. So one is beneficiary protection. So you have to think about estate planning because of beneficiary protection. So ensure loved ones are cared for and assets are distributed as intended. So some of the ways that you can do this is creating what would be called a trust. So an investment trust, or you can do a will, but remember, a will can be contested in a court of law. But if you invested in a trust, you'll actually have the money distributed according to what you want, because the trust documents are signed and they outlive you. Then the other key issue is when you think about something like a trust, again, tax efficiency, you're thinking about if I have this house, this block of apartments that I need to pass to my kids, it's better that there's in the trust form, because you will save yourself a lot of stamp duty tax and a lot of conversation about that. Then the other thing is the personal protection, designing decision-making for medical and financial matters. If incapacitated, you actually are telling them, okay, fine, this money, this is what you'll use this money to pay my medical bills and everything, and then time and cost savings, just to avoid the whole process of probate. So as you do personal financial training, personal financial work, you can't do this until you until you complete the estate planning. So it is important to think about it today. Most of us, we don't want to think about it, but it's a necessary evil. And even when you go to banks, you're opening a bank account, there's always that thing that you asked, who is your next of kin? That is part of estate planning. So you can formalize it more, create trust, write your wills, because that is important for wealth creation. Then the other thing is about taxation planning. So you have to think about your taxes, because tax take 30%, at least 30% of our income. Yes. So you need to think about how do you reduce your taxation? So utilizing strategies to lower tax bills and retain more income. If you're in business, every expense has to be expensed, and if it's a tax is allowable, so that you can reduce the amount of tax that you have to pay. Avoid penalties, pay on time. I know there is a campaign that KRA is moving that is pushing that penalties are being waived. So take advantage of them if you have a tax arrears. Then increasing your cash flow, enhancing financial liquidity for investments and debt reduction. That is important. Then you minimize your risk. So always be one of the things that we don't want to have tax audits done on us, because we are like, it will expose us. But at the same time, if we don't, I think, and the aggression that KRA has, you'll end up getting yourself into trouble. So the other key thing is about when you do tax planning to achieve your financial goal, both for personal and financial. So it is very, very important to work on your taxes, plan on it, because it is the right thing to do. So I want us to summarize. We have gone through this, and I want to summarize it as this. People want to be wealthier to make them happier. Because at the end of the day, remember, we want to be happy. We'll not be happy all the time, but we want to be happy. So happiness is complicated. It's a complicated subject because we are all different. But if there is a common denominator in happiness, a universal fuel of joy, it is that people want to control their lives. It is the highest dividend money pays. I don't know who can relate to that. Why do we do personal financial planning? Why do we get into self-employment? Or why do we why do we even push to grow within the career ladder? It is because we want to have sufficient money for us to be able to make more money, and to make the decisions that we do. So if that is ultimately where we want to go, how then do we get there? We have to start where we are and start almost immediately. If we haven't started, some of the beauty is most of us have started. So the issue is just refining the path, the processes, and what needs to be done, because that is basically where we want to go. Then we have to be disciplined. Start today, be disciplined, be patient. You will make wrong decisions. I'm not telling you, remember, investment is a game of probability. You make an investment and it doesn't go well. You'll start a business and it doesn't go well. But remember, there is no education that is wasted. So patience is important. Be patient with yourself, be patient with others, and then be consistent. Every day, learn something, push yourself, and then invest in self. That is the most important part. Investing in yourself. And part of investing in yourself is really just asking the questions. Why am I doing this? Why is it important? And how does it align with my values? And then the same way we go for financial, for health, body health check, it is important to do a financial health check. Seek help. There are people who can help you do that. I am sure even if you went to your relationship manager at the bank, they would be able to guide you, even if not 100%, they will be able to guide you in terms of, maybe not sell you insurance, maybe an insurance policy or something, but they will help you look at your insurance health, your overall health in terms of finances. So wealth is ability to fully experience life. So we want to walk towards a journey of experiencing our life the best way we can. And remember, the goal isn't more money. The goal is living life in our terms. Yeah. So it is very, very important that we live life in our terms. And before I go to the action plan, I will want us, Mantui, for us to go through the questions, and then we can come to the action plan as the final stages to conclude the conversation.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I think we can give a virtual round of applause for a great session. You can agree with me that these are good insights that have been shared, as well as reminders about how best we can handle our finances. So we can go into the questions. There are quite a number, so we will strive to answer as many as possible. And we've answered a few, but if we're not able to answer, we've taken note of them, and also throughout the remaining sessions, we'll strive to respond. So I will begin with Kiage, who says, I know several people from diverse backgrounds, diverse professions, who have retired with nothing much. What could be the challenge? Is it that all of them made money mistakes in their active years, or is the concept of financial freedom a mirage? And I know there was also a question that asked, around retirement and investments and how to handle that. So I think that will cover that. And then let me answer one more. Let me, ask one more. We have Brian who says, you have free 5,000 monthly. How can you split this into MMF and SACCO, or which is the best way to manage this money? So I think not just 5,000, but any, cash that you can spare, how best to go about this. So I think we can answer those ones here.
So in terms of retirement planning, and the reason why I put that slide on retirement planning, many times we get into the retirement planning trap because we don't start early. And as you say, as I had said, you are taught about retirement planning much later. So some of the challenges would really just not being well prepared. And so you end up contributing something much lower than you require or you need. So that is a big issue. Yeah, that is a big problem. So when it comes to retirement planning, think about it today, think about your life in retirement, and then walk backwards. So that would be my key answer to that. In terms of whether to invest your money in a CMMF, in an MMF or a SACCO, the question is, remember I talked about goal-based investing. The main reason why people invest in SACCOs is because of the loans that they are predictable. So you need to ask yourself, why am I investing? If I'm investing an emergency kitty, I cannot put it in a SACCO because the process of getting that money will be longer. But if for example, I'm ready to have this money stay on for a long period of time, then I can put it in a SACCO. So it depends again. If it's money that I might need I might need on short notice, then it's an MMF account. If it is going to be money that I can stay on without, then it can go to the SACCO. But the key question is, why am I investing today? Yeah.
Great, thank you, Elizabeth. And I think just also to respond to a question around DTB supporting your investing options, we do have a custodial business unit. So we are not in MMF at the moment, but we do have a custodial business unit that facilitates investments in T-bills, T-bonds, and shares. And so you can reach out to our customer experience team. I have shared the contacts in the Q&A tab, but I will also share in the chat. So if you have any queries around that, we are more than happy to support. So now on to the questions. We have Samuel who says, what about people who are self-employed? How can we save as each day is not the same in terms of earning? And then Dennis asks, how can one scale the legal hurdles between employers and financial institutions when dealing with debt restructuring? Yeah.
So the first question is about I am not earning any, my income is not consistent. I'm in business. So for people in business, the biggest challenge we have is that we don't pay us. So we don't pay ourselves. We pay everybody else in the organization other than yourself. So then what happens is that if something happens, you take money from the business. So what you need to do is start by paying yourself, at least put yourself on a monthly sort of, whether you call it a dividend distribution, whether you call it a salary or whatever, depending on the tax, based on the tax planning that you have gone through. So it's good to note that we need to pay ourselves so that you separate your business and personal finances. What you can do is once you make a good income, then you can put it in an investment that can be able to pay you over time. So that's what I would suggest. But again, remember, you're also competing between growth and reinvesting back. So, and putting money away. So it's something that, again, we need to look at in terms of a business context and say, what it really makes sense for that particular person. But the biggest problem is that we don't pay ourselves. So we end up using business money to actually do our own things. The one I didn't understand is the one on debt. How can one scale the legal hurdle between employers and financial institutions when dealing with debt restructuring? I'm not quite sure about this, but whether the way I look at it, assuming that Dennis, I'm correct, if, for example, you have found yourself in a debt situation whereby you need to restructure, and worst case, it be like mobile loans where your employer has been told that you have defaulted, I think it's to accept. You remember financial wellness, we started with acceptance. Accept that there's a problem, then present to the not only to the employer, also the debt person on the other side. They say this is what is going to work. And for sure, most people are human. Once you're vulnerable, people will tell you this is what is going to work. They will even help you come out of that situation. So the only thing is, how do you make sure that you don't get yourself in the situation again? And that is the biggest challenge even most employers will have, that you are constantly maybe having challenges with your loans. So disclosure for me is key, acceptance, and having that hard conversation. Thanks, Manchu.
Thank you, Elizabeth. So Dennis asked, we've responded to Dennis. So we have one more question. I'm struggling in making a decision on taking a loan of repayment period of 10 to 20 years to build my own house. Is it financially worthy, or should I invest the money in shares and live in a rental house? Then another anonymous attendee asks, I started investing in MMF where you can invest as little as 500, but the transaction cost is sometimes higher than the interest you are getting, which never makes sense to me.
So on the first one, I go back to goals, because at times all investments are not necessarily financially, they might not make financial sense. I know there's an article that had been done some time back, almost like the way people have invested a lot of good houses at home and they never go to live there. But there is a void that house fills that money cannot. So you need to think about exactly where do I want if, for example, I live in a rental, do I have enough investments that are going to take care of this? And now when I look at money's investing maybe in equities, and then something goes down, then you cannot be able to rely on that income to pay a house. So what you need to look at is, what is the eventual good? I think owning a home is not a bad thing, eventually, because that is where you're going to retire. So it is important to plan on it that way. And the question is, do I take a loan at 10 year or 30 or 20 years? It depends with the cash flow that you have today, because the shorter the loan term, the better for you. So that would be my answer to that. In terms of, yes, investing 500 shillings and the amount of the transaction cost is high. Yes, and that has been an industry challenge. I think right now, if you're investing in something like ZD, the transaction costs are waived. So for me, the hope is just that at least it can be waived below a certain amount for everybody, just for fair play. So the 500 shillings, it's good to start. But again, yes, look at what are some, like what Manching has said, there's some people who, if maybe you have an MMF that DTB is the custodian, maybe the movement between them might not be expensive. So just look at some of those things in terms of savings. So again, the situation is really, you have to look at it one-to-one and then see how you can save. Yeah.
Great. I also want to give an opportunity to those who've raised their hands one more time. So Femida and Jonathan, I'll just enable you to ask your questions. So yeah, Femida, you can go ahead. Or Jonathan. All right, let me also allow Emily. Emily? Okay. As they maybe sort out their sound issues, let me go to Immaculate. Oh, there we go, Emily. Emily, you're able to speak?
Yeah, mine is a quick one. First, to thank you for this insightful session. I mean, the knowledge you've gained this morning and afternoon is invaluable. Thank you so much. I was requesting, could you kindly share the slides on email maybe?
Yes, yes. We will be sharing the slides and the recordings for each session. And allow me also to mention, Karibu, that for those who will successfully complete the sessions, you get certified. Great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, Karibu. So we can go on to more questions. We have Immaculate who's asking, I'm currently working, but I want to advance my studies for a master's degree. I'm not sure whether to take a loan to support my studies. If I push hard from my monthly salary, I can manage to clear the fees monthly, but I will have almost nothing left after clearing my needs. Can you please advise on this?
So I think it's that thing of short-term pain, because if you can be able to survive without taking the loan, I would go that route. And I talk about the Kenyan situation whereby the interest rates are usually they're very erratic. So if you can be able to finish without necessarily taking a loan, the better it is for you. That would be my recommendation. And if you must, you should, because I still believe that the best investment is in self. You'll command higher pay, you will grow, you will be able to do much. So investing in self is non-negotiable.
Okay, great. We have a question from an anonymous attendee. I think it's many questions in one. So starts with, how can I ease into real estate beyond rates? And then if I am to incorporate without trading, solely for holding investments and tax benefits, which entity would be preferable? So proprietorship, LLC, PLC. And the third one is, how do investments such as matured T-bills and shared dividends affect my taxes and tax filing? And what other investment options are there besides MMFs, T-bills, T-bonds, stocks, and SACCOs? Yeah, so that's a loaded question. We can spend some time there.
So how can I ease into real estate beyond rates? I think the answer is, yeah, you don't want to do the whole development yourself. Then you can do the actual purchase of the apartments and houses, but now that comes with management. So you need to look at what exactly do you want, and you can actually buy into already managed properties, so it becomes much easier for you, especially because of the time element. So that would be my quick thought. Then if I'm to incorporate without an entity without trading, off top of my mind, and I would say don't rely on this because I'm not a tax expert, I would go for an LLP as a limited liability partnership. Reason why an LLP works, the taxation of the owners is what is maintained. So you don't have to be taxed at the corporate level and then taxed at your dividend level. So I would rather it's a tax pass-through. So there's called a limited liability partnership, and it really helps you in terms of tax and also liability planning. How do investments such as matured affect my taxes and tax filing? The answer is it depends on if you're a trading company, then you have to declare that as normal interests or normal income. But if it's just a normal investment, again, I think taxation on T-bills is like 15%, dividends, the same 15%. You just declare as normal, as other income, as opposed to at the top line level. Then what other investment options are there besides MMFs, T-bills, T-bonds, stocks, and SACCOs, pensions maybe? Those will be the additional ones. And then less formalized ones, like what we have talked about, real estate investments. And I think the other thing that I'm also seeing is commercial papers, where people are just investing directly in commercial papers. So you are running a business, you want some capital, someone just comes and gives you money, and you write off. It's off the capital market, but yes, it's available. Commercial paper and commercial bonds.
Good. Thank you. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. So ladies and gentlemen, allow us to end the Q&A session there. And I think one quote that I keep seeing coming up in the comments is, the goal isn't money, the goal is living life on your terms. And I think that is, the journey of financial freedom and financial wellness. So once again, thank you so much, Elizabeth. Maybe if you have one thing that you'd want our participants to take away from this entire session as we close.
So I will end with the action points, the action point slide in 2 minutes. So one of them is learning focus. It is good that we are here, we are learning. Learning is one thing, actioning is another. So we need to make sure that we are really thinking about actioning. And as you take action, do you have an accountability person framework that works for you? So establish an accountability framework that so that you measure and be on track. Because I'm sure we have had so many things, we have attended so many trainings, but have we started? Create a support system. It is important. Maybe have a money buddy, and maybe just a competition whereby, okay, fine, we are all doing a 1 million challenge for the next 12 months. What does that look like? And maybe that is something that Mantu will organize us into. We save into a savings account in the bank and make 1 million. Make sure that we accumulate 1 million. That could be a way to start. Then make sure that as you take risk, calculate the risk. Don't take all the risk. Not everything that is investable by you. And not everything that is, let's say, for example, when you're earning your income, and not everything works for you. So understand yourself. So at Zurich, again, we have really come up with the frameworks to help you. So with financial wellness, you can always follow us. We write a lot about financial wellness, a lot of knowledge gathering. We have accountability tools, and I'm sure Mantu will share them on email, the Excel sheets, but you can actually automate them through our website. Just go to our prosperity tools. We become your accountability person, and then we become your support system, because we shall remind you. You said you're going to invest. Hujafanya, we will remind you, and then make sure that you do the maximum research before you take any investment. So thank you so much for this great conversation that we have had today. We meet again next week as we discuss more. Thank you, Mantui.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And as we wind up, maybe just in the chat, you can share the one thing that has stood out for you. But more than that, what is it you're going to implement? Because like Elizabeth has said, let us be more action-oriented, and let's actually implement the lessons that we have learned. So next week on 15th May, the same time, same place, we will be now going into the key pillars of financial security. where we'll explore principles of savings, income diversification, risk management, and wealth building strategies. So make sure you tune in, set aside the time, and thank you for your commitment for showing up for your finances. Feel free to share on social media and tag DTB and Zurit, DTB Duo on our platforms, and share some of the lessons that have stood out for you. So we thank you so much, and like we said, we will share the slides and the recordings as well. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Elizabeth, thank you to Faith and Lillian, who've been our sign language interpreters. We will see you next week, same place, same time. Thank you and have a good afternoon.
Thank you.